Okay, well, it's about 7:10, so I'll ask each of the administrators if you can check in to each of your sections as you're prepared to present. I'll go ahead and get started with this evening's presentation, and hopefully as people continue to join in, they can catch up and join in and prepare questions if they have questions at that point. Good evening, everyone. I'm Vaughn Mansfield. I'm the superintendent here at Homewood Flossmoor High School. And this is new for all of us, so be patient, but I'm sure you're going to also get a lot of information in terms of what to prepare for at the start of the 2021 school year. We thought we would include a number of individuals in the presentation just to give you a broader spectrum of things that we have to offer here at Homewood Flossmoor High School. So after myself presenting, we also have Dr. Jerry Anderson, our principal, Mr. Gary Posing, our Director of Technology, Mr. Craig Fanton, our Associate Principal, and welcome aboard our new Assistant Principal in the North Building, Dr. Quitman Dillard. We also have new and on board and welcome Dr. Jen Hester, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Professional Development. We also have Ms. Jen Rudan, Mr. Jim Schmidt, and also Mr. Matt Like. And not listed, but if you want to take a note, we have a couple other individuals who won't speak tonight, but also are very key in terms of our day-to-day operations here. We also have Ms. Jody Bryant, who's our Director of Communications and Human Relations. We have Ms. Gail Smith, our Director of Activities, and also Dr. Angela Taylor, who's our Director of Special Education, who don't have a formal part in the presentation, but indeed they may be able to answer questions depending on the question that's posted, and or please notify them if you do have additional questions in their particular area. So with that, we put a lot of time into the presentation this evening. We had a very extensive board meeting just a week or two ago. And within the crux of that meeting, we tried to kind of tease out what it would be to be back in school, to be back blended, or to be remote, and what it would actually take to accomplish any one of those tasks in terms of reopening of school. And I'm sure most of you have heard by now, our selection was remote just because of the logistics and the things that we would have to try to contend with and mitigate if we were indeed at least a hybrid or full remote, or full learning within the school setting. So with that, I'll go ahead and let us get rolling here. I think it should go pretty quick. We're hoping to be here maybe about an hour, just over an hour and a half at the most, depending on how many questions and answers we have to address along the way. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our principal, Dr. Anderson, who will begin the presentation and also give you a little bit of direction. We're trying to make this interactive, so there will be an opportunity for you to post questions, and hopefully we'll have a chance to answer those questions within the presentation. If not, we'll get those answers back to you and post it on the website, certainly within the next day or two. So with that, Dr. Anderson, please.
Good evening. So we're going to have our presentation, and after the presentation, you're going to have an opportunity to send in your questions, and there will be a slide with directions on how you can send in the questions. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information first, just talking about how we derived at our decision, just a little bit, and go through the schedule. And then we're going to talk about some other things that are really going to be important to this year with regards to how we're going to have our students learning and how we're going to support that learning. So let's get started. So we made the decision this year that we were going to go to remote learning. We were going to be online. And so we are. And the reason for that really is safety and security first. The size of our school and what it would take, the social distance, we just felt like it wouldn't put us in the safest conditions at this time. And we also wanted to be sure that we had continuity in teaching and learning. So we don't want to have a lot of stops and starts when it comes to what we need to do if someone were to be ill in the environment or something like that. So we really just wanted to stay as consistent as possible. And just know, as we are in this stage, that we are going to continue to monitor to see when we can actually move more to a partially blended, or to full in-person learning. And that's all going to be based on safety, guidance, and how we manage our logistics. So today you're going to hear a lot about the instructional day. And when we got our guidance, from the Illinois State Board of Education and the Illinois Department of Public Health. It was requesting that we have 5 clock hours of learning. And that learning includes both what we do as far as direct instruction and also schoolwork. And you'll get to see our schedule here in just a few minutes. So we know a lot of people had the opportunity last year to experience remote learning, and we went online within a day. So I want to first reassure you that we have learned so much to really help us this year get an excellent start and to stay strong throughout the time that we're going to be online. So you'll find that our schedule is structured. You will find that we've done a lot of research to incorporate the best practices. And we're preparing our staff with professional development on engaging our students and building positive relationships and paying attention to that social emotional learning. They have the content. Now we just have to get that content online and delivered. There will be mandatory attendance this year. It won't be get up, sign in once, and we'll talk more about that. There'll be increased rigor with letter grades and accountability. And we're going to have higher expectations for both our staff and students, but there will also be support. Every student and every staff member will receive a Chromebook, and you'll learn during the course of this presentation how that will take place. So I want to start off by talking about the difference between synchronous and asynchronous learning. So when you're synchronous, just think about if the conductor were in the classroom with these students who are playing their instruments. The instructor would be able to have those conversations, take a pause, have them start again. So really it's about active learner participation with the instructor and their peers. That's synchronous. And then when you look at asynchronous, it's really when the student gets an opportunity to sit down and do some studying on their own. They can work on course materials, they might work with a partner outside a classroom, but it's really completing the work that they need to do at their own pace. So that information is important as we begin to talk about our day. So we're going to have 4 days of synchronous instruction. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. The day will start with the instructor getting online with the students and incorporating a variety of instructional strategies, and you'll hear about some of those. And there will also be time built in for social emotional support. And when you look at the schedule, you can notice that Monday has all 7 periods meeting, and they are meeting for about 35 minutes. This schedule was built to mirror when we're in school, our block schedule. So on Tuesday, you'll see periods 1, 2, 3, 5, and 4. They'll be meeting for 65 minutes. Now look at first period. If you notice across the top of the screen, it meets 45 minutes each day for 4 days. But the other classes meet on 3 days. So let me make sure I'm clear with that. And the classes that we have on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, besides first period, are 65 minutes each. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about Friday, because Friday is going to be a day where we're going to do student work, and we're going to be more asynchronous and have opportunities for some synchronous. So the minutes of instruction, you can see at the bottom of the screen for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday. And what you'll notice is we have at least 300 minutes a day. So let's talk about some of the subcomponents. So additional learning time that you see at the bottom of the schedule, it's really to give students an opportunity so they can work individually or in study groups. They can do study sessions, complete projects, do group activities. It's really not about doing all of their homework during this time, but it is a structured time in which students may do some of those activities. We're going to start every day with a teacher professional development. And during this, the 7:30 to 8 o'clock time, Monday through Thursday, there'll be an opportunity for staff to meet, write curriculum, participate in professional learning communities, looking at data and looking at curriculum and deciding what do we need to do to make this most effective for our students, and also have department meetings. Now on Friday, things will look a little bit different. That is our student work day and our student services day. So on Friday, what we have happening is our students will not start with their teachers until 9, but their day starts at 8:05. They can get up, they can work on assignments, but their teachers will have office hours. Every class period will have office hours. And then there's additional time to do some other activities. It doesn't mean it's the only time. So students are working, there'll be time for them to check in with their teachers. They can schedule appointments with their counselors or social workers, and also teachers, counselors, and social workers can schedule time with our students. There'll be time to have IEP meetings or 504 meetings, related services appointments. And this is not the only time those appointments will take place, but it is the time that those appointments will take place outside of regular class period. So an appointment on that day would not be necessary to pull a student out of class. We're also looking at some additional time for student academic and social emotional support. So we have on our schedule at the bottom between 2:30 and 4 o'clock. Our counselors are going to be able to work with some small groups. Tutoring, the test center, special education resource services will be available. And we're going to look at the possibility of doing some other remote tutoring later on in the semester, but this is how we're going to get started. And please know, you can still contact teachers and counselors and social workers to set up time to meet when you need to do that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Craig Fanton. I am the associate principal located in the South Building. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our Chromebook and textbook distribution. As you see on the slide, we will be distributing Chromebooks and textbooks with IDs beginning on Monday, August 10th at 9 a.m. and we'll go through 7 p.m. Monday and Tuesday, we are going to use for 9th and 10th graders because, 9th graders and transfer students, because we do need to print IDs for them and take pictures. So it takes a little bit longer to take the picture and print the ID. So that's why we reserve 2 days for 9th grade students and transfer students. You can come anytime between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. on that day if you're a freshman or a transfer student. On Wednesday, August 12th, we reserve that for 10th graders. Thursday will be for the 11th graders. Friday will be for senior, and that will go from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. And then Saturday is a makeup day, and that will go from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. All that we ask is when you come to the building, you're going to enter door number 15. We will allow one student, and if need be, a parent inside the building. Everyone is required to wear a mask and social distance. We will no more than 50 people to stay 6 feet apart in any single building. We will print the IDs and distribute the Chromebooks in the cafeteria. From there, students will walk down to the library where we will have a box prepared with all of your textbooks and your handbook. You will sign off on your textbooks and your handbook. And at that time, you will walk down the hallway and exit the building. We anticipate that this whole process will not take very long. We will do our best part to make sure that everybody social distances. And then we ask your help with that process as well. Thank you.
Hello. This year, it's not new this year, but every student will be given an HF Gmail account. We've been doing that for a few years now. This is going to be key to their classroom education from our teachers. Our new students and our freshmen, you're going to have a mailing coming to you. Inside the mail will have the students' their Gmail account. It'll have their default password that they can use. And then once they have that, that's the tools that they're going to need to get to their Google Mail. And then with that account, that's how they're going to be able to access their Chromebooks, their Google Classroom, the Google Meet, and that's where their teachers will be able to interact with them and to communicate with their teachers. A new feature we have this year also is if a student forgets their password or they want to change their password, they can go up to the website under the student link there is a forgot my password or changed my password. And they can do that remotely from home. They do not have to visit their teacher or computer services anymore. Next slide. Could we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Google Classroom. We started using Google Classroom last year. It's a little delay. We started using Google Classroom last year. Classroom is going to streamline the assignments and allow teachers to collaborate and work with our students remotely. Teachers can post their assignments, their coursework, and actually give direct feedback without any paper. It's going to allow them to track their classwork, submit assignments, everything electronically. The nice thing is they can actually share resources. Students can collaborate in groups and work together on their assignments. So it's going to allow our students and our teachers to communicate remotely while we are in e-learning. Next slide. The next slide is Google Meet. That's the last piece to our Google apps. This is actually going to allow our teachers to see the students working from home. Students will be able to share their work. We can see the students in class. Our teachers can share their screen. They'll be able to share their whiteboard. They'll be able to share, documents. So it's almost like the students are in class. Have a question or a problem with the Chromebook, your first line of defense is send an email to helpdesk@hf233.org. We have people monitoring that. We are also going to have an exchange program for if a Chromebook dies or for some reason it gets damaged. The students will enter through door 12. They will be required to wear a mask, or the parent can come in. The students must bring their ID. If a parent is going to exchange it for their student, please bring your student's ID with you. On Mondays and Thursdays from 3 to 3:30 you can come in. On Wednesday evenings between 6 and 7, and on Fridays from 8 to 8:30. For some reason, if those times don't work, please send an email to help desk. We will do everything we can to work with the parents to make sure that the equipment your students have continues to work well and they have a working device. And PowerSchool Parent. Many of our families, you've already been using PowerSchool Parent. It is a great tool to keep track of what your student is doing in class, how they're doing academically. This is where our teachers are going to post their grades and so forth. I highly, highly stress that you install the PowerSchool app onto your phone. It's a very nice tool because you can have it with you at all times. It uses push notifications, so as your student's grade changes, or if they were marked absent for some reason, you will get that notification immediately. The other thing is we will not be printing out schedules for students anymore this year. They will be pushed to their PowerSchool account. They will be pushed to your PowerSchool account. And then starting on the week of August 10th, that's when we're going to start activating schedules. So the students will actually be able to see their schedule. And that's when we're going to begin building the Google Classrooms so that the classrooms will be available for students on the first day of school on the 17th.
Mr. Dillard, you're on mute.
Good evening. Dr. Quibben Dillard, Assistant Principal of the North Building. I would like to discuss some norms for virtual participation. Follow the dress code before logging on. Find a quiet place. Mute yourself upon entering the room. For questions, wait for your teacher to call on you. To add to what is being said, use the chat feature and stay on topic. Only one student should talk at a time. Listen to the speaker. Use school-appropriate language. Respect your peers and teachers in the virtual classroom.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jen Hester, the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Professional Learning. Dr. Anderson already talked about the two modes of learning that our students will be engaged in. One of those is synchronous learning. And if you recall, synchronous learning you can think about as real-time learning, where teachers and students come together and meet through Google Meets. In the synchronous learning, there are really four formats. The first is teacher-facilitated whole group instruction. And that instruction will be interactive, where teachers are using multiple forms of technology tools and different engagement structures so that students can participate and be active in instruction. They'll also be using teacher-facilitated student small groups in Google Breakouts, where students will meet in small groups and teachers will be able to pop in and out of those meetings to support students in their discussions and their activities. Students will also be assigned in partners during the synchronous time and will work similarly to the small group breakout. And there'll also be opportunity for students to work individually with their teachers. That can be in the form of conferencing, a check-in, or tutoring as tutoring becomes available. And again, our students will also be working through an asynchronous learning format. And that is primarily a form of self-paced learning, where students get to work through activities and assignments that have been assigned through the teacher in Google Classroom. Students can work obviously individually, but they can also be assigned an asynchronous assignment in a small group, where different students go in and work on their portion at the given time and complete their portion of the assignment. And they can also work in partners in the self-paced setting, all through Google. Assignments will be given through Google Classroom and Google Meets. In both the synchronous and asynchronous learning designs, teachers will be providing learning expectations, or you could call them learning targets, and they'll be communicated at the beginning of the synchronous and the asynchronous session. Teachers will be providing clear directions for navigating content, the instructional groupings of how students will meet, and providing explicit information on how to use the technology tools and modeling those. As they did in the face-to-face setting, our teachers will be differentiating instruction to meet the unique needs of all of their students. They'll assess frequently, and they will also engage in frequent feedback and provide students with formative assessments. And formative assessments are those assessments that take place during the learning process so that our students can get feedback on where they are. Just to address a couple questions that have come up, many of our assessments will be authentic, and students will be engaging in authentic activities as well. And summative assessments will also be provided, which occur at the time at which students should have understood the content. And all of our assignments, as Mr. Posing said, will be turned in via Google Classroom.
Hello again. I will be talking about attendance and grading. For each class every day, students will sign in to class through a Google form link. Attendance will be monitored by teachers. They will report absences in PowerSchool, and we will be monitoring absences and attendance through the dean's office. If a student is unable to participate due to illness or other excused absence, we ask that a parent or guardian call the attendance hotline at 708-799-3000 and press 2. You may have to leave a message, but we will get that absence recorded. In situations where students are excessively absent from class, parents and guardians will be contacted in an attempt to remedy the situation. Those contacts could come from teachers, they could come from a dean, a counselor, social worker. Ultimately, we just want to try to figure out what's going on, why a student's not logging in, and we want to get that situation rectified. For grading, we will follow our regular grading scale for classes. So please see the teacher syllabus for each class to determine how those grades will be figured out. Teachers, counselors, and deans will communicate with families for unsatisfactory progress. Now, what does that look like? Well, we will have incompletes given in lieu of an F until a specified date, which we will notify students and families once that date is determined. And then incompletes will default to an F if work is not completed after that date.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. My name is Jen Rudan, and I'm the MTSS coordinator here. MTS stands for a multi-tiered system of support. So the supports that we will be putting in place during this time of remote learning are two to three tiered, really. The first tier, we are going to incorporate a social emotional platform that we piloted this summer that we will be incorporating into all of our PE, health, and driver education classes. And it'll offer social emotional learning to all of our students. And also it will allow our students to build relationships with not only their PE, health, or driver ed teacher, but also counselors and social workers will be patched into that platform so that they can kind of follow along with their students. So that platform, it's called EduGuide. It will be explained to your students or to your children on their first or second day of PE, health, or driver ed. For students who have a PE waiver, we will be incorporating EduGuide either through the counseling office or through another common class that they have. Some of our additional student support, again, we still have counselors and social workers available to provide not only social emotional support, but academic support when necessary. And then also our counselors and social workers will still be running groups and hold individual meetings by appointment. They'll also be doing their full class meetings when they meet with their seniors, their juniors, their freshmen, their sophomores. They do whole class meetings with them as well. So all that will still take place. It'll just take place in a virtual format. And we will be utilizing a lot of the Fridays for those types of events. So just so you know, even though we will have a schedule when we meet with students, like Dr. Anderson said earlier, you can still reach out to your social worker or your child's counselor to set up individual meetings whenever is necessary. Thank you.
So this year, more than any other year, two-way communication is very important. So we want to be sure that you know that you can reach out to the school and the school will reach out to you. We will have through email, phone calls, and Google Meets. We won't be doing as many in-person meetings, but we will have those ways of communicating. I thought it might be important to look at what teachers will be dealing with, social workers and counselors, kind of distinguish between those groups for you. So teachers will reach out to you if your student's not logging in, if they're not doing well in their classes, and if they're not behaving the way they'd like to within the Google Meet. So they'll reach out to you, but you can also reach out when your child starts to struggle, or you have questions about assignments that they might be missing, or you have some family circumstances or something going on with your child that you need them to know. Please feel free to reach out to the teachers. With the counselors, counselors and deans will reach out for academic support. We're still going to be looking at college and career readiness. That's still going to be on the plan with us. And when you have questions about your students' class schedule or their plan for graduating, and if the student's not logging in and they disappeared, you're going to hear from a counselor or a dean sometimes. And also if from the deans, if students aren't following their dress code. So basically we want kids to get up dressed for their day, not in their pajamas in bed, you know. So that's what that comes down to. And when and when you may also reach out to them if you feel your child needs some more academic or social emotional support. You need to communicate about something going on with your child or in your family. You have questions about the schedule, or you would like to discuss college and career. With our social workers, they're going to reach out to you when they understand that your child needs additional social emotional support. And if you're going through something in your home, they are there to give your child support, to talk with your family, and to provide resources that are outside of the school if you need additional help that's beyond the purview of the school. And you can feel free also to reach out to the social workers for additional academic and social emotional supports to talk about those extenuating circumstances. Or if you want to see, is there someone else that can help your family with social services, therapy, financial assistance, something like that, you can reach out and they will help direct you. So this is, I'm not expecting you to like memorize this or anything right now, but we're going to be recording this and it'll be available on the website, and you can also find this information on our website and other places. But just so that you know who all of our counselors are, their alpha assignments, their extensions, and their email addresses. That's going to be important for you to know, for us to have that two-way contact going on. As well as knowing our social workers, they also have an alpha breakdown, and between general education and special education, they're split just a little there. They have extensions, and they will have also their email addresses that you can also find. Dr. Taylor, she will introduce special education.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Taylor. I'm the Director of Special Education, and I want to take the opportunity to give you all a general overview of the supports that will be provided in special education. In regards to extended time as it relates to remote learning will mean one additional day. So that is, if a student has extended time in their IEP, he or she will receive an additional day to do an assignment or submit a project. In regards to audiobooks, we are currently looking into Bookshare, which is an online library for students who struggle with reading, and that does have to be indicated in their IEP. And if that is the case, then they can access books in an alternative format. Our case managers are the liaison oftentimes between parents and teachers, and they help to facilitate a lot of communication and support our families. And so our case managers are going to have check-in times available 2 days a week, so that there can be that two-way communication that was previously mentioned. We do understand how important that is, and we want to make sure that we have times available for parents to reach our case managers and for our case managers to reach out to families as well. In addition to that, general education courses, teachers will communicate their office hours to students and parents. During office hours, students and parents can contact teachers to get one-on-one support, ask questions, and receive clarification of any directions that they may receive through this platform of learning. For our co-taught courses, teachers will collaborate as co-teachers and communicate with students to provide the accommodations documented within their IEPs. And then for resource courses, as mentioned, they will be live, so teachers will correspond with students through the live platform about assignments, executive functioning needs, and projects. Our cross-categorical courses, that will be the same as well in terms of having the opportunity to receive instruction live, as well as our vocational classes, our VAS classes. And VAS stands for Vocational Achievement for Successful Transition, and that is for our students that are 18 to 21 years of age. In addition to that, there's a few things I want to mention before we move on to the next slide, and that is that our IEP meetings will be Monday through Friday. Our related services will be provided via teletherapy, and technology for our students will be primarily by Chromebook unless the student is in our life skills program. If the student is in our life skills program, then they will be using iPads. And if there is a different technology source that they need to use other than iPads, then that will be communicated directly with the parent. In addition to that, I would ask that if any parents have any questions, to send me an email with the subject remote learning if they have any questions in regard to this learning platform. So thank you so much.
Good evening. Matt Like, Athletic Director. The IHSA Board of Directors have a meeting scheduled tomorrow to discuss the athletic seasons for the upcoming school term. We are hopeful for a plan that includes opportunities for all extracurricular activities. Since June 22nd, the athletic department has hosted summer sessions for the majority of our sports. We are following the IHSA Phase 4 return to play guidelines. The coaching staff has worked very hard to create a positive experience for our kids. I truly believe that our cautious approach has been a big part of our success. Regardless of the outcome of tomorrow's meeting, we are encouraging our student athletes to complete their pre-participation examinations by August 7th. The tentative start date for the fall season is August 10th.
Good evening. My name is Gail Smith. I'm the Director of Activities. And in addition to Mr. Like's comment about how we're waiting for the IHSA tomorrow in terms of what that will look like for competitive activities, we're also working on our SWSC, our conference. We'll have to convene and see what activities we will also be able to provide in another format. And then we're also working, waiting on other national and state organizations for some of our activities to determine how they will proceed for the year. In the meantime, we've been able to this summer hold our summer theater. We're also working on our next production of the Leaders in Theater Ensemble. And we've also conducted a drumline camp last week, and we are currently in a band camp this week. Working with our sponsors in the next few weeks as we get our guidance from the various organizations, we will work to develop virtual opportunities for our students, whether it's a social activity, an honor society, a competitive arena. There are many things in the works. We will need time to have those conversations once we have those guidelines, and we hope to have many opportunities for our students to participate even in a virtual setting throughout the year.
So we're starting with this remote online learning. And I know that there's some classes that really do better with students being able to have hands-on activities. So at some point in the future, we'll be looking at an opportunity to bring our students in who have classes like culinary, auto, engineering, those kinds of classes where it really would help if students are present and able to manipulate and to touch items, objects, to do work. And they would do that with gloves to start off with. It would be social distance, you know, with also having a regular cleaning regimen for the items that they would be working with. And then the blended learning schedule, at some point we may be there where we're bringing in groups of students, a smaller group of students, dividing them into A and B groups, leaving some students in the C group the option to stay online. Students would be synchronous online Monday through Thursday, and our Friday actually would stay the same, virtual. So just wanted you to know about what could be coming in the future and where we are right now. First day of class for students, August 17th, 2020. That will be our first day of class. Students will have received all of their information. They will know how to get into their email. They will know how to get into their Google Meet. You will have the schedule, and we will be ready to go. Now, this is the time that you've been waiting for. I'm going to stop sharing and put the screen back up. But let me tell you how you're going to be able to text in your questions or write in your questions. At the top of the screen, you will see a website. You may go there on your phone, or you may go there on your computer. It's www.menti.com. And then you're going to put the code in 457743. That information will show up also on the slides as we go forward. As the questions come up, you'll still be able to get that information. So let me stop for a second. So at this time, you have the opportunity to start sending in your questions. And your questions will be able to be seen by the audience. We'll try to not put too many duplicate questions up so that everybody has an opportunity to have their questions seen. So if you would like to go ahead and do that, we will get started. So our first question, how is driver's ed being handled? That is a work in progress for us right now. We are working on making sure we can do that in a very safe manner. Okay, will teachers be teaching from home or at the school? So that is just going to depend. There'll be all different kinds of circumstances. Sometimes teachers will be teaching from home, and sometimes they'll be teaching from school. I think the most important thing is that they're teaching and they're doing their job in a professional manner, which I have no doubt that they will. Most important to us is they're carrying out their responsibilities. And we will have teachers in the building as much as we possibly can. Okay. Can students use their own Chromebooks? Mr. Posing, would you like to address that?
We would prefer them to use the school Chromebook that's going to be issued to them. The school Chromebooks are linked to our district, to our domain. In addition, we know that they're part of our content filter, so we would really prefer them to be using our device. But if they do get on, I mean, they can use another one, but we'd really prefer them to use our equipment so we know if there's an issue. It's going to make it easier for us to troubleshoot than trying to troubleshoot. We can't troubleshoot a personal device. We can only troubleshoot with problems with our devices.
Will the size of classrooms be affected by remote learning? So when it comes to class size, no, not by remote learning. We're trying to have reasonable sized classes so that our teachers have opportunity to interact, but being remote's not going to necessarily make our class size be different. Okay. What were the specific lessons learned referenced earlier, and what specifically is different about the remote learning planned now versus what was done in the spring? As we mentioned, in the spring, we found out that we would be moving to online. It was probably a Wednesday, and by Friday, we were online. Monday, the students were starting their online classes. So we've had a lot of time to do research into best practices, to see how it's best to engage our students with the content, to build relationships with them, and to also really care for that social emotional piece, because we realize that our students are going through a lot of things during this time period. We also will have, the grading is much more structured. They will have regular grades. In the spring, it was a do no harm. We really wanted everyone to just be able, we were given guidance to really support kids through this. It was sudden, it was new. And I think everyone's emotions were a lot higher around this when it first began. So there will be regular grades, going back to our regular grading schedule. Students will sign into every class. They won't get up, sign in at 10 o'clock and be done. They'll be signing into every class. Team, can you think of anything that I left out?
I would say too, way more synchronous learning opportunities between, you mentioned signing into every class, but it will also be a synchronous opportunity for every class. I know, you know, there wasn't synchronous learning happening in every single class in the spring, and that will be different now.
Okay.
And I would add that our teachers have really been working hard all summer long, learning different ways to motivate, engage, and really get high levels of collaboration among students.
And the other thing is, kind of goes back to that question with the Chromebooks. When we did it in the spring, we were allowing students to use their telephones, their own computer, if they had a Chromebook, an iPad, and we found that it really created challenges from a tech support for our teachers. You know, some students were having troubles turning in documents on an iPad. So hopefully by, you know, giving every student the same device, that's going to level that playing field and make our teachers be able to teach and not do as much tech troubleshooting.
You know, Dr. Anderson, I think I would also say that our teachers are looking forward to hearing from parents. If you have questions about students' abilities to log on or their abilities to function in the environment, so that we can get support services to them immediately. I think this spring, some of the students, well, I can't say got lost, but you know, after a week or a week and a half of maybe not being able to get into the learning capacities because of equipment malfunctions or just not being motivated or having just flat out difficulty, it was almost too late. We did have a number of students make up assignments over the summer that won't be available now, but we should have a lot of interventions available much before things get that dire. So again, I would ask teachers or parents to also ask their child to communicate with teachers as well as the parents right away.
This is a really great question when it comes to the SAT. With the SAT, seniors who did not have the opportunity, which were all of our seniors, when they were 11th graders in the spring, the plan is, and I'll let Dr. Mansfield add a little bit more, the plan is for seniors to be able to take that test in the fall, and for this year's juniors to be able to take the SAT in the spring.
Yeah, I might add, I have served on the college board directly, and they are actually still trying to figure it out as well. A number of sites that were actually giving tests because of the COVID circumstances and social distancing have now closed, and our school included, because we can't meet those requirements for safety reasons. So they're scrambling a little bit in terms of how to retool and also still provide this as an opportunity. I've not heard from the state yet as far as what that all school testing will look like, even into the spring. But as things become available, we'll keep you abreast as much as possible. Certainly, if parents would still like to sign up for scheduled SAT tests, I'm not sure they're going to be much before the fall. You're still welcome to do that. So we're still going to attempt to have our all school testing in October, and then the all state test, if they can still pull together all the logistics, will be held in the spring. So.
Mr. Schmidt, would you like to address this question?
Sorry, I had on mute. Yes. Good evening, everyone. So I believe today, being mailed out to all families is a list of your child's classes that are appearing in their schedule, not their actual schedule. Okay. If you are interested in changing any of those classes, email your counselors. Our counselors are now working. They're registering new families in addition to being accessible via email as well as through their phone. So please just send them an email, let them know what you'd like changed. If they can change it, they will notify you. If they cannot, they will reach out to you and have a conversation about what other possibilities might exist.
And Mr. Schmidt is our counseling department chair, and he is a great person to get in touch with. He's a great resource when it comes to the counseling office. We did not introduce you earlier, Mr. Schmidt, so I want to be sure that they know who you are.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Anderson.
So my child selected choir as an option this year. How will this class work, or can my student opt for another class?
Okay, you want me to jump in on that, Dr. Anderson? Yeah, it's the same thing as an elective. Just email your counselor, and if you know the classes or the other classes that they might be interested in taking in place of ones that they're currently enrolled in, please list those on the email. That really helps the counselor be able to go in and see if those classes are available and communicate more openly and directly with you. The other thing I forgot to stress was, so you're going to receive that letter in the mail sometime in the next couple days. Our schedule change process will be open through next Friday, August 7th. We'd like to have as many schedule changes as possible completed by that date, only because then when you're able to come pick up books, we want to minimize the need to continually change those on the back end. Knowing that we'll have to in some cases, and we will deal with those on an individual basis, but preferably, if at all possible, we'd like to have as many course changes done prior to that Monday, August 10th. And that goes for level changes as well. If you see that your child is enrolled in an honors or a CP or an AP, and you really think that it's not challenging enough, or it will be too challenging, please reach out to the department chair, reach out to the counselor, have that conversation about possibly a level change, and then we can process that as well before your schedule is pushed to your child. So, thank you.
I should mention that you can do choir though virtually. I don't know if you had an opportunity to see either our choir director or to see our band students perform. So students actually can learn music, read music, they can sing together, they can do activities together just because they're not in the same room. While we're virtual, online, that's not going to be an issue. If we were to move to a blended environment, right now what the guidance says is that they prefer that we do activities like choir and band outside in the open air and not inside when we have people together and then appropriately socially distanced. But while we're online right now, that's a non-issue. That class will work. They can see music, sing music. interact with their conductor. I also want to just take a moment to also say that we have probably right now 254 questions, and of course we're not going to be able to do all 254 questions. However, we will have an FAQ sheet that we will be signing, and we're definitely going to stay on. I think we agreed that we would do around 30 minutes of questions or so, and so we're happy to do that. So I just want you to know that, but we'll also be creating an FAQ document for those frequently asked questions, so you have answers to all of those. Okay. So have we thought about back to school night or open house? That would be a definite yes. We definitely have thought about how we can conduct those by having people sign up for appointments and do those through Google Meet, meet the teachers, learn about the classes, and also I would include in that parent-teacher conferences. We can still conference, we can still have those types of meetings by scheduling and having meetings with either a whole class of parents or with individuals. So we will be prepared to do that. My daughter's taking advanced dance first semester. Is that virtual or in a studio?
I could tackle that one because I've been working with the PE department. So all of the PE classes will be virtual. And the way that they're structuring their classes right now, again, there will be that social emotional piece. There is going to be a huge focus on mental health and wellness in all PE classes, regardless of the class. And then there will be one of those block days where whatever specific PE class your child is taking, they will do activities in that class. So it'll be virtual. It'll probably be the instructor in front of the screen, you know, doing a combination or a dance of some sort, and the students following along. And then one day will be a more so of like a cardio day that almost all PE students will be doing cardio, weight, strength training, and things of that nature.
So the questions should be showing up a second here. Let's just give it a second here and see if it comes up. There we go. There's our question. I haven't yet received an approval for my registration. How long should I wait before contacting the school?
So we would stand there for 2 business days before you would contact the school. I would say at this point we got inundated weeks, so it may take an extra day, but if you have any doubt, feel free to call and we can take a look and see what the delay is. You know, as long as it wasn't rejected, then it's just a matter of us getting to it. We were able to get through the vast majority today. We did a great job of catching up on that because we got bombarded over the weekend. So I anticipate that tomorrow we should be caught up. And if it goes after that, please call my office and we'll figure out what's going on.
How are students doing ID pictures?
Well, since I'm on, I'll just go ahead and jump in. So when we do our textbook and Chromebook pickup, that's also ID pictures. Any returning students to the district, we already have a picture on file. We're going to go ahead and use that picture. We will have that ID printed, ready for you to go, ready for the student to go in the cafeteria when they come to pick up their Chromebook and their textbook. Any student that is new to the district, including incoming freshmen, that's why we reserve 2 days for that. We will take an ID picture in the cafeteria. We will print that ID out immediately. It takes about a minute or two, and that's where you'll get your ID.
How should sports physicals be submitted?
All right, I'll take that one as well. So there is a place on the online registration to upload documents, and it's in the health forms. You can do that. The other way you can do is email it directly to our nurse's office, and they will take care of it, and they will get it to the appropriate personnel. If it's strictly for sports, that can go directly to the athletic office as well. So you have different avenues to get that. Remember, anybody or any freshman, all freshman students do need a physical regardless if they are participating in a sport. So that should definitely be turned into the nurse's office, who then will get it to the athletic office in case they want to participate in sports. So you have multiple avenues to get that done.
Slight delay here. There we go. Is the $295 fee still necessary for remote learning? So it is very likely that we will handle this the way that we handled this last year. We are anticipating at some point being back in person and needing heart rate monitors, needing our PE uniforms and needing those things. Last year we managed to handle that. For the things that we didn't do, people were refunded money for the things that we were unable to do. So there'll be a process. So for right now, we're collecting fees with the hope that we will be in person at some time during the school year. Will the seniors be taking their portraits this semester?
We are still working on a process for 9th through 11th grade and senior portraits, so that will be forthcoming.
Will there be technical assistance available if a problem occurs during an exam?
Yes, the best thing is right now we have is the email. Do I have a live number you can call? Yes, we do have the telephone number. Our help desk number can be called. It's just going to be, to be honest, the tough trick is going to be trying to handle the volume of calls, because we only have like two, 3 people that can be on taking tech calls at the same time. Normally, if there's an exam issue, the teacher will work with us directly. The teacher can reach out to us, and we will do everything we can to support the student remotely.
And if you might be referencing what happened with the AP exam last spring, that was a little bit out of the control of the school, and that would have had to be handled through AP, just in case that was in reference to that particular situation. Can the athletic director speak on the pre-preparation examination or something like that?
So the pre-participation examination is an athletic physical. It's just referenced as a pre-participation examination on the actual document provided by the IHSA, but that's an athletic physical.
If your child was in summer school, will they still need to get a Chromebook?
No, and we sent out a message to all the students. If they had a Chromebook from summer school, you should have received a telephone call, or actually, I'm sorry, an email the other day stating that if they have a Chromebook, you are fine. Just go ahead and keep that one, and they can use it for this upcoming school year.
This question's come up quite a few more times, so would you mind addressing this one more time, Mr. Posing? Do the students have to use their Chromebook provided, or can they use a personal laptop?
Yeah, as I said before, is we would really prefer them to use the school issued device. That's going to make it easier for us to troubleshoot. If the student is having troubles with a laptop, there's not much we can do to help them in that situation. I would say the laptop would, or a desktop computer they have in house, that might be a good backup plan. But using the Chromebook, if there's an issue with a piece of software, everything that we're using has been tested on our Chromebooks. So if they're having troubles,
Mr. Posing?
yes.
Okay, I didn't know if you were still speaking.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm done.
No worries. Okay. I have experienced inconsistency in both PowerSchool and Classroom. My child says they are not accurate. Is this true?
And that's kind of a tough one to answer, not knowing what the problem was. But if we're going to go back to the spring, this reinforces another reason why we really want them using our device. We do know that there was issues with students trying to turn in assignments using their iPad or a personal device, because they may be on an iPad and the iPad was logged into the personal account, but they were logged into their Google account for Google Classroom, and when they went to use their iPad to turn the assignment in, the iPad was trying to use their personal account, which caused confusion and the assignments couldn't be turned in. I think that's probably the best I could answer that one. Like I said, this really reinforces why we want our device.
Excuse me, Dr. Anderson, just the timekeeping. We've got about 10 minutes of questions left, and then you can use the last 5 minutes to wrap up if you like.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. I think here we go. When will the students have the opportunity to select? And I think maybe to select classes. So Mr. Schmidt, am I correct? That should have already happened if they were here last year. And what about new students?
Yeah, new students, once they test, they'll be assigned a counselor appointment, and counselors will meet with them virtually to schedule their courses. Any other student from last year, they should have already met with their counselors. Counselors should have reached out with them. They've been working on schedules since May. So if you have any questions regarding your child's schedule or classes that they're enrolled in or that you'd like them enrolled in, please reach out to them directly. If you do not hear from them, feel free to CC me on that email or reach out to my office as well. All of our contact information is on the HF website, and it's also in this PowerPoint.
How long will there be online classes? And I guess the short answer to that is we'll be online classes until we can safely bring our students back into the school environment. Is there a provision for seniors who cannot do ID book pickup Thursday or Friday?
Yes, we have that day on Saturday, makeup day from 8 to 12. if they truly need to come in on that Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, we will service them. The reason we send out the dates that way is so that we can honor social distancing and not having, an overcrowd on a certain day. If it doesn't work for you, or, something I failed to mention earlier is if it's a family and you have a freshman and a sophomore and a senior, you're more than welcome to have everybody come at once.
I would also say, Mr. Fenton, they should contact your office directly if they cannot make those dates, because otherwise we can't honor that just because of the number of individuals.
My incoming ninth grader has not been able to access Power School throughout the summer. She sent an email to the help desk but never heard back. How can I get this resolved before school begins?
Well, the one thing is if they're having troubles, the letter that's going to be going out shortly is going to have that student's credentials. If you're still online, you know what? Give me a call personally. My number is 708-335-5740. Call me directly, and I will get it resolved for you.
Can you speak to why the asynchronous class option was not tested during the summer? Ms. Rudan, can you speak to the different ways we did summer school this summer and what was synchronous and what was asynchronous?
Sure. I'm assuming that question should be flipped. Why the synchronous class option was not tested during the summer? Because the majority of our summer school classes were asynchronous. If you had a class where you utilized the Acellus platform, then that was more so an asynchronous class. We did run a couple of synchronous classes this summer, but the majority were asynchronous. And that really had to do with just the time constraint of us not knowing when we would be able to bring students back into the building. And so to transition all of our summer school classes to a synchronous format, there just simply wasn't enough time to do that. And so, which is why we went with the asynchronous platform of Acellus, hoping that this is the only summer that we will be doing that, because I know the students as well as the teachers really missed the synchronous format.
Is there any support to improve the internet connectivity for families if that's an issue?
I'm going to try to read into this question. Are we talking about if the family doesn't have adequate internet? If they already have internet, I really can't help them with their Comcast. But if they have too many students, same thing is reach out to the help desk if you don't think you have enough adequate internet, and we have some options to assist families with that.
What happens if our internet goes down or doctor's appointments? Are classes being recorded to view again later? That's a great question. Where we are right now, students will have an opportunity to check in with their teachers during office hours and also email their teachers and also their study partners and study groups. There will be some things I'm sure that will be recorded. I just don't want to answer that everything's going to be recorded so that you expect that that will be the case. There will be teachers who will probably record their instructional delivery and maybe not the entire class with all the questions and answers. And then there will be other teachers who will prefer that you contact them to get additional assistance during their office hours or at another time.
Dr. Anderson, I might add, it's just the same as the regular school year when students are sick or ill and didn't attend school. There's ways for those students to get the makeup assignments. It may not be the exact same class for all, but I'm sure some may record their classes. But just like a regular school day, if a student misses the school day, that information is provided, but the exact same class may not be. So that may be something that will develop for teachers, but at this point, they're not required to record their classes.
For clarification, remote classes will be Monday through Thursday, and is there a class on Friday? So yes, there will be synchronous classes on Monday through Thursday. And on Friday, your child should be working asynchronously, scheduling time with their teachers, working in study groups, doing their whatever counseling appointments or social work appointments or those types of activities also. So there will be adequate work, I can assure you, for your child to be able to do asynchronous work on Fridays. They don't have to necessarily report into every class, and we'll talk a little bit later about Friday attendance and how we'll handle that Friday attendance, but they are expected to be online and working. We're going to probably do about 2 more questions here, and then we're going to wrap up. Is there an option for students who prefer the asynchronous option for select classes? I would say not at this time. At this time, we are really trying as much as possible to make all of our classes synchronous. Well, this is a great question. Hopefully, will these slides be shared? What time should students log on? These slides will be shared, and there will be additional information sent to your home. 8 o'clock is our start time for the day, but you will get additional information about the schedule, and we are recording this presentation, and it will be posted on our website.
Just to follow up to this question, Dr. Anderson, we do have another parent meeting tomorrow, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, so probably I would say as quickly as we could, and I would defer to Ms. Bryant, but we should have a link on the website hopefully by Thursday or Friday as we kind of collect the Q&As to give people as much time as possible to review this.
All right. And with that, we're going to stop with our questions. I probably have another 300 questions. And what we'll do is we'll look at those frequently asked questions. We'll make sure that we get those questions answered. They will be up on our website for you to go and to peruse to see if you can get some more answers. And of course, you can always reach out to any of us if you can't find their answers there, and we'll be happy to give you additional assistance. And I really just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. It's much appreciated. We are excited about this school year and getting started. We're excited about all the work that we've done. We're excited about seeing your students' faces again, your little children, big children, seeing their faces again, even if it's virtually. Our teachers they've been working very hard. As Dr. Hester spoke about, they've been working very hard this summer, all summer, to get ready for the school year. And so we are all excitedly anticipating our new school year. Different? Yes. But different can also be good. And we're going to make it, and we're going to make it the best. Please remember that this is a partnership. We really need everyone to work together this year. We're here to support you, your students. We want to answer your questions, and we also want you to provide us with information that you feel that we need also to help and support your child have that educational success that you would like to see. So thank you everyone for attending tonight. We really appreciate it, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the evening.